Wisconsin Badgers. So I think Michelle Smallman still ended up getting her money's worth today, which is fantastic to see.
You love to see it. And now joining us, who gives we don't have to speculate anymore. We can ask from a first-person type of view. Evan Cohen, our proud UW alum, is joining us now here on the Carbless Talking text line, host of Unsportsmanlike. Evco, what's going on, man? How big of an upset was this, and how's Smalls doing right now?
Oh, she was so annoyed. It was so great walking out of that stadium tonight. And she was coming up with excuse after excuse because then she started to do this spin. Well, every time we've been to games this year as a show, the home team wins. So actually, I'm the reason Wisconsin won. I mean, the spin was just utterly ridiculous. What a game. You know, guys, I bounced around during the course of the game because Wisconsin was great and gave us, like, field passes before the game. So we were on the field. And everybody was in good spirits on that Illinois side because Coach Bielema, and I appreciate this, came up to us and came kind of running over and he saw us and gave us a hug and the whole deal. We were talking about all different kinds of things. He was very relaxed. And, you know, I'm sure that he thought that they were going to win tonight. And there was a part of me that I was on the verge of saying to him, hey, take it easy on us tonight. But you know what? I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't. Because then I made that, didn't do it.
Don't show
it.
Don't show him the hand.
Then I made my way up to the press box. And then I sat with LePay and Jauch during the first quarter, and a lengthy drive, 16 plays or whatever it was?
Eight and a half minutes,
drive?
I think.
Nine and a half minutes. Yep, 16 plays, nine and a half minutes.
Huge. That was huge, I thought, because it just totally took the life out of Illinois in terms of, like, any rhythm on offense, obviously. And then I went over with our buddy Nestor in his suite. He was great and had us there. And that was towards the end of the second quarter into halftime. And then we're walking around. I go back in the third quarter. There's a huge run. I hope I'm getting my timeline right on this. But the huge run with 80-some-odd yards, which was unbelievable. And then I thought just the play that was awesome for me was the punt. On the special teams, just pummeling the punter. And, just that to me was really important because that was just a heads-up play by us. And obviously, Coach Bielema is an awesome special teams coach, and that's so much of what he's known for. And we kind of outdid them there. I mean, just every which way. And I'm going to go. The defense was great, as we know, and the defense has been great with all the sacks over the last 3 weeks. But there's been something going on here with Carter Smith. I know that it's one of those. The numbers may not look good if you didn't see the game, but being at the game, and obviously you guys saw it, it just felt like Carter Smith kind of has given them something here. Even like that little play late, or that little screen pass for the first down, on 3rd and 14, was it, if I'm not mistaken? I thought that was huge. I just, even trying to get off the double, the trickery that was not a catch that he thought was when he got knocked to the ground. He just made good plays, and he's not spectacular, but he made smart plays, and I like him. I'm excited. This was a great night all around, guys.
A great night for sure. He's Evan Cohen, and you can hear him on Unsportsmanlike weekdays from 5 to 9 here on 100.5 ESPN. Proud to have him on here, and just love that. I know that this was a big weekend for you. You were really excited to just be here in Madison, and you talked about how electric it is, how fun it is to be around everybody. You talked about Carter Smith and the how the juice that he brings. A couple weeks ago when he came into the Washington game, the word I used, Evan, was effective, and just the impact that he made. Again, he wasn't flashy, to your point. So the big question that we've been talking about on the jump around, which you can hear with myself and Jim Rutledge and Riley Jauch, well-produced show. Thank you to the work that Riley does on Thursdays on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel on Thursdays, is do you stick with Carter Smith? What do you do for the future now? Because, again, you want to take it week by week. You still want to take care of Minnesota, but your view on do you believe that Carter Smith should be the guy that Wisconsin rolls with at quarterback for the future? Because he is young, but there is that big upside. I want to know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I would. I mean, Pablo, is it a question that they wouldn't, you think?
No, I guess it's just because
Jim Rutledge is convinced that they need to attack the portal, spend the money, get the best possible quarterback you can afford in the portal, because next year's make or break for Fickell, make or break for McIntosh. You cannot rely on a true sophomore quarterback who we don't know how he'll develop over the offseason, even though we have seen lots of positive growth just over the past 3 weeks. So.
I don't think it's a question, or I don't think it's a maybe not. I say why not roll with it, because, again, yes, it is a risk, but I'm with it because, again, the confidence that he shows with fifth-year seniors saying that this guy goes into huddles and acts like that in the best way. He has that confidence. He has that swagger to him. He does this just, in the best way, where he is proving himself at such a young level that he's only going to get better. He's only going to grow more. He's only going to mature. And I've even heard it, too, after the Washington win. He said, it doesn't matter how we win. All that matters is that I can help my team win in any way possible. So, again, for me, I say it's a no-brainer.
I tend to agree. That's not to say don't bring in someone else or don't have somebody else ready to go or whatever it may be, or not, just ignore the quarterback position. But, I mean, what I saw from him tonight was that moxie. I don't want to go cliche, but he feels like a gamer. There were little times where it's like, all right, just take the 6 yards on the run, which he did. There was one play to a tight end on the left side of the field from where I was sitting that I was impressed. He could have thrown it about a second earlier. But, I like the quarterbacks that don't make mistakes. I'm risk-averse from a quarterback position. I like the idea of, if you have to throw it away. A drive can end in a punt. That's not the worst thing in the world. And I've seen enough from this young man. Here's the way I would do it, okay? Let's look at it this way, guys. Let's pretend this was anywhere between 1998 and 2002 when I was a student at the University of Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. If Carter Smith came on like this at the end of the season, would there be any doubt who the starting quarterback would be next year?
No, not at all.
No. Because of the fact that we're in the NIL era, we're always assuming we can upgrade. And I think the way to upgrade is to make sure he has all kinds of protection on the offensive line, make sure the running game is great. And that's, to me, the version of the upgrade that I want to see. I've seen enough to be excited about this kid. Why would we not, dive into this here? And if we have money to spend, maybe spend it to protect him and give him weapons if need be and continue to strengthen the defense. I like what I've seen.
Yeah.
He feels like he should be the guy.
Yeah, and you know how expensive quarterbacks are in this NIL era. You have so much money. If Ted Kellner is correct and they're going to invest significantly more into the football program, Chris McIntosh said that as well, you can spend so much more money on every other position and really strengthen the surrounding cast for Carter Smith if he ends up being the guy. But, Evan, broadening the scope here a little bit, talked about Carter Smith's growth and what we've seen from him. Barry Alvarez says he evaluated coaches based on growth throughout the season and how they improved throughout the season. Am I crazy to say that this team has grown expeditiously, exponentially, since we last talked to you after the Maryland game? The amount of growth is staggering we've seen since then, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question. I think that there was a point, I want to say going into the Maryland game, you guys are going to have to correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I believe Ben Brust on KBN said if they don't win against Maryland, there may not be another win this season. And now, and by the way, when Ben said that, I didn't think that was too far off. And now, in back-to-back games, they've won against ranked teams, top 25 teams. I think it's impossible to say that they're not getting better. They're obviously leaning into really young players that have a chance to be here for years to come, like Carter Smith and others. And I think that's kind of probably just a lot of guys are playing ahead of schedule. But if the guys that were playing on time weren't actually performing, the guys that are playing ahead of schedule are the ones that Coach Fickell is clearly getting the most out of, and he's making them look good, and they're making him look good. So I think that you're right. I think that they have definitely improved as the season progresses. And what are they, 4-7? Am I getting that right?
Yep, 4-7. Yep.
So if they win against Minnesota, we're talking 5-7. Is that good? No. Is that acceptable? No. Mm-hmm. Is it an utter embarrassment? At week to week, it was. But on the whole, 10 years from now, we may look at this season and say, yeah, that was a down year. But maybe it started something versus an embarrassment of a year.
Evan Cohen here from Unsportsmanlike. You can hear him again 5 to 9, on weekdays here on 100.5 ESPN. Proud UW alum too. Very happy to have him here. Evan, you made a great point there, and I want to ask you, a win like this, again, this is also the second-ranked win. Riley and I were going through the schedule. This team had 6 ranked teams on its schedule. I feel like that's been the headline on and on in the offseason that, how are they going to do in this schedule? How are they going to do facing all these ranked teams. For them to have 2 wins is very nice right here, but a win like this too, what does this do for the future of the program, the brand identity? It's still up in the air, and there's still a lot of work that Luke Fickell, Chris McIntosh, and even Chancellor Mnuchin, everybody needs to do in terms of fixing this brand and what it looks like now. But what does tonight do in your eyes as an alum, as somebody who's very proud to be a Wisconsin Badger? What is the aftermath, and what are the effects that a win like this does?
Yeah, I would say that it really goes back to the question that we discussed just a couple of minutes ago. Does a win like this solidify Carter Smith's role for next year? Mm-hmm. Because that, to me, is what you're really talking about here. That's really whether or not they could actually use this to build for the future. Because if you basically have, a sophomore quarterback next year? What is he technically going to be a sophomore next year? Or, I thought somebody said, I thought Jim said the other day that he's not even qualified to be a freshman, right? Because it's a low number of games?
Yes. So since he'll have only played 4 games, he can still redshirt this season. So next year, he will be still a redshirt freshman, technically. He will still have 4 years of eligibility next year, starting next year.
Yeah, so that's why I said that's what the excitement is. That, okay, do they have that locked up? Do they have this wild pass rush that we've seen over the last few weeks? And is that the strength of the team? And obviously Coach Fickell, that's his specialty, right? The defensive line, I would assume. It's kind of where you would lean there. So I think what tonight and last week shows you is, okay, there's a basis for success here. Rush the passer, get after the passer, play really good defense, have that quarterback with a little juice and moxie to him that may not throw the ball 100 times a game, but okay, fine. If he's handing the ball off, running backs are getting holes that are going to allow them to do what they did, right? And Darian Dupree tonight, 17, 131, 2 touchdowns. I mean, are we kidding here? I mean, that's amazing, right, when you're looking at that. And I know, obviously, it was an 84-yard run as part of it, but still. I mean, I think that – and by the way, the wide receivers were blocking. You had, T.Y. Hilton's kid, Eugene was in the mix a couple of times. Mm-hmm. There's stuff happening over the last couple of weeks. But, yeah, you feel better about the program right now.
Yeah, and I feel like this is something tangible you can finally sell to recruits and to alumni and to boosters. And, Evan, when you joined us last against Maryland, you said that what Fickell needs to do, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I remember correctly, you said that Fickell needs to go back to a grassroots approach to try and get buyback or to get this alumni base, the boosters, the supporters of Wisconsin football, the fans, to buy back in. Get out, shake hands, kiss babies. We've now seen, finally, positive developments on the field. Is that the biggest thing still lacking, in your opinion, from the Luke Fickell tenure? And if so, are you still of the opinion that that is how he should approach this offseason from a non-football perspective?
In terms, okay, so walk me through what is your dream scenario for Fickell this offseason then? In this hypothetical, what do you want? The season ends. Let's hope they beat Minnesota. They go 5-7. Yep. What do you want them to do?
Yeah, I think. Are you talking off the football? Are you talking with who he should go attack after for NIL, or with how he should approach garnering fan support?
No, just the overall approach. Not, I don't mean specific transfers or anything like that. Yeah. Overall approach.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you said back after the Maryland game, and I think that's the biggest area in which he's been lacking. I think he needs to get the biggest supporters of this university on his side. He needs to go out. We've saw a job posting for a liaison for someone to go out, build relationships with high school coaches, build relationships with fans and alumni throughout the state of Wisconsin. I think Luke Fickell, in a dream scenario, go 5-7. Finally, people are starting to see the vision. They have a little belief. And Luke Fickell himself goes out there, meets these coaches, meets these people, builds good PR. I understand it's extra work. I understand maybe that's not his strong suit, but I want to see him go put in the extra effort to do it. Wisconsin is a different place. Wisconsin is a unique place. Wisconsin is a very special place where we care so deeply about loyalty, about someone coming in, if they're an outsider, becoming one of us. so to speak, becoming a Wisconsin guy. I want to see videos of Luke Fickell going crushing brats with guys at a bar up in the north woods of Wisconsin, going hunting with some guys. Deer season just opened up today. Obviously, that schedule doesn't really work out, but I'd love to see him just go do that. Become a Wisconsin guy. Take this offseason, become a Wisconsin guy, and then next year, if this success continues, if the investment pays off, I think just about everyone in this state, in this alumni base, in this fan base, will be back on the Luke Fickell train, and we'll be feeling much better about where this program is at and where it's heading.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I think that is what needs to happen now in terms of being out and about, being seen and heard all across the state. And maybe, just maybe, this recent success triggers the ability to do that. Like, maybe we haven't focused on the human element of it, of like, while this is what you're supposed to do, maybe he is just distraught by all of the losing and the program that he thought he was going to build, and then having to go out and about and see these people who are not going to be happy with him, and why do you want to do that emotionally and mentally? Well, now, if he were to all of a sudden make an appearance somewhere on Monday, go show up to Wilde and Jauch on Monday morning, right? Just walk in the studios. All right, guys, what's up? And, now's the time. Now is the time, because maybe there was a little bit of shyness and reservation about, having to be peppered with all the negative questions. Well, now, sure, you're going to have to ask about his future, but at the same time, there is also the idea of asking about, like, how did you just destroy Illinois the way you did? How did you beat a ranked Washington team the way you did? Like, now he could potentially go out into the community and meet and greet and shake hands and kiss the babies, the whole deal, off of wins. So take advantage of it.
Evco, one more before we let you go here. I know you probably got an early flight out to New York, and then you got to jump onto Unsportsmanlike. Very excited to hear Monday's episode. Before you get going, I know that we had you on the jump around too earlier in the week. You can go back and listen to that interview. I felt like that there was going to be more juice too, because the last time Brett was in the building, that was a big loss that he handed to Wisconsin, and a tailspin was a great way that Adam Mertz described what that loss was and what it did to the program from there. So just a lot of juice, a lot of good energy. Kind of want to get your vibes on what it was like being around there, and truly, what do you think from this whole weekend, from getting back to visit Madison, to get to be here, to get to live through this, and for this to be that exclamation point? What do you think you're going to remember the most from this trip, Evan?
Well, certainly Wisconsin winning, and Small's having to wear a Wisconsin helmet on the show at some point over the next few weeks. That's a great one, and talking all the junk leading into this game. But, just the way that Madison always has taken care of us on our show, and I love Madison so much, and it means so much to me. And walking around State Street today and being at ESPN Madison on Friday, doing the show from there, which was amazing. Being at the big ESPN Madison event that we had last night at Buck and Honey's with Jauch and LePay and my Professor Hoyt, who was able to come by there. It's just been an amazing week. WSUM, the student radio station, where Riley worked as well, and I worked, and having the opportunity to speak to all the kids there, and then getting the tour of Camp Randall and being on the field before the game and talking with Coach Bielema. I just think it's been an amazing weekend for us. We are both, Smalls and I are both so lucky to have had this opportunity for our schools to play. And she had never been to a game at Camp Randall, to see all the jump around and the great fans that were there, and just the parties. Obviously, Wisconsin College Game Day with ESPN Madison beforehand, which we went on, obviously, with Riley and Brad and Mertz. And it's just been an amazing few days, and we are so fortunate to be a part of it. And Madison still is the greatest town in the world, and University of Wisconsin is the best school in the world. So nothing has changed in the 20-plus years since I went to school.
Damn right.
Well, we love having you on here, Evan, and we loved having you out here this weekend. Love that you're always supporting the Badgers. Appreciate your time. He is Evan Cohen. You can hear him on Unsportsmanlike 5 to 9 weekdays here on 100.5 ESPN, and also you can see him on ESPN2 and ESPNU. Excited to see whenever Smalls puts on that helmet, Evan. Safe travels back to New York. We appreciate it. Thanks again for your time, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys, and on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin,
Thank
for
you.
sure.